housing plan may be a Band-Aid for the foreclosure crisis, but Mr. Obama's budget proposal is set to limit the ability for upper-income folks to deduct less home mortgage interest from their taxable income. So what will it mean for upper-income housing? We are now welcoming Prudential Douglas Elliman, Vice Chairman and New York's numero uno realtor, Dolly Lenz, to Happy Hour. First time on Happy Hour here.
Hi. Nice
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Great to see you.
All right, so I think first off, the big question here, it's actually in the prompter, but I think everybody's wondering it. Does what's in the budget right now look like a repeat of the earlier Democratic priorities in housing?
I think it's slightly different, and it's almost worse, but it does look like a repeat.
I guess my question is, whether it's Democrat or Republican, why are they always trying to prop up housing for the homeowners instead of allowing housing prices to fall so they're more affordable for those of us who have been renting and saving? I thought that both sides were supposed to be somehow helping the poorer.
Well, the 75 million homeowners currently will devalue their houses if you
but they're
pass
still
such a bill.
homeowners. They are homeowners.
They are
ownership
homeowners.
class. What about the non-ownership class?
Today they're homeowners. A year from today, they may not be homeowners if everything keeps going the way it is. I mean, 45% of all foreclosures in Florida, all property in Florida for sale is a foreclosure. So that's not a homeowner.
What effect do you think this new mortgage interest reduction rule on the books, what is the net effect for you, for your business and the housing market in general?
Well, for my business, it basically almost puts us out of business because nobody's going to have confidence enough to jump into a housing market that's a question mark. Even the floating of something that's not going to take effect till 2011 today is a disaster for the housing market. I had appointments canceled today. People are saying, let me see what happens. I'm not interested in jumping in.
Well, and that's a great question to ask you. Obviously, the #1 realtor here in New York, where we see a lot of expensive housing. What does this do for the upper class? What does this do for the high-end housing out there?
Well, I think if it were only the high end, it might be okay and it might be palatable, but I say it goes through the entire market. I think it devalues all real estate, starting from the top, going to the bottom, trickling down.
Everybody keeps saying that about New York. We still haven't seen it here, though.
But that's just, on that note, you've seen the average real luxury apartment in 1996 when I moved here was less than $500,000. It's still, even though it's down maybe 10-15% now, still more than $1.5 million.
9% year over year. Case Schiller came out and said New York City 9% aggregate.
But still
high-end
tripled over the last.
High-end holding up
but
better.
You know what? Everybody's saying, like you just said, everyone's saying, shall I buy or shall I rent? They're all doing the math. Buy, rent, buy, rent. If you throw that off by making buy after tax much more expensive, then you're throwing off the entire housing market. So what are you really doing?
Why do we need to have tax tricks for the wealthy in the housing market anyway?
Well, first of all,
don't give them any write-off. Make them pay taxes regardless of how much money they borrowed against their house.
Housing is what took the country to where it is today. Housing will prop back the country to where it was. I think housing is the key thing in the whole economic sector.
Agreed.
And it affects the banks. It affects everything on the bank's books. It affects everyone.
Agreed. I just don't want any more welfare in housing. That's all my point is. Let the prices go where they may so that I can actually know with some confidence that I can buy.
But if you're a homeowner, one of the 75 million, you can know with some confidence you may lose your house.
Sorry, that's the way it works when you risk a lot of money on a house.
Well,
how do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I got to ask you, though, you're probably talking to realtors all over the country. Just what are you seeing? People wonder every day how it's...
My phone was off the hook today discussing this. It was unbelievable. Everyone is calling, buyers, sellers. How does this affect us? How's the real estate industry banding together to stop this from happening? What are we doing? It really, look, housing is the most important part of the whole industry. We really can't let that happen. I really believe that. It's the golden goose. We're killing the sacred cow, golden goose, whichever animal you'd like better.
So bottom line, housing needs lots more welfare to keep the prices high enough so that you and other brokers have one more chance to sell lots of property.
Cody, tax incentives.
And it really all depends on where welfare is going to be spent. It's not like it's not going to be spent. It's how we distribute it.
I agree. So let's feed hungry children instead of rich homeowners in New York City.
We do feed hungry children.
All right, fair enough.
All right,
Dolly Lenz,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. #1 retailer in